Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to open your mind, get curious about yourself and connect to the power you hold within. I am your host, Karen Maloney, an inside-out coach, helping you to believe in yourself and manifest your desires. Check out the podcast, available on all platforms, and go to my website, www.karenmaloney.com for all info. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm back. It's me, Karen Maloney, and I have another solo episode for you this week. Honestly, I've just been so busy the last couple of weeks that I haven't had the time to edit an episode, an interview that I've already recorded. I have lots of wonderful conversations yet recorded to come, but the editing and the scheduling just takes so long, and I've been coming and going. And I have a list of podcasts that I wish to record myself. So this is another solo episode. So this week, what I wanted to talk about is persistence and how when it comes to making change or making something stick in our life, whether it's changing our thoughts, a behavior, a habit or mindset, creating a spiritual practice, whatever it may be, it requires persistence for it to stick, for it to become lasting change, and for us to become very proficient in it. You know that saying of practice makes perfect. And while we're not aiming for perfect, we're aiming for that consistency, that things don't feel like so much of a chore anymore, and you can do them and stick with them easier because you've got a good rhythm going and a good flow, and it feels more natural to you. And it's funny, this started coming up for me because lately, and in the last while since I've been here in Mexico, I speak Spanish. I studied Spanish in university in Ireland, and I spent a year in Spain as part of my degree. But when I went to Spain to study, I had literally studied Spanish for 2 semesters. So I knew a couple of songs. We had started learning songs. I knew the alphabet, how to pronounce the letters, how they sound, and I knew some verbs and how to conjugate them. But they weren't stuck in my mind and I could not speak. And when I went to university in Spain, honestly, I swear, I was in class and I could not understand a single word the lecturer was saying. Everybody was writing. I couldn't even take a note because I didn't even understand. I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't pick up any of the language. My few verbs and songs that I had learned were not really providing much support for me. And at that time, it was sink or swim. So I managed anyway to really pick it up, and I did my exams and everything in Spanish and passed, but I wouldn't say that I could speak it fluently. And again, what's brought this up lately and this idea of persistence is the amount of Mexicans and friends who have said to me how incredible my Spanish is, and how when I speak in Spanish I'm so fluid, I don't have to pause, and I have no accent, that I sound really local. And it makes me laugh because, you know, I'm super proud of where I've got to. And even in the last year, I'd say, it surprises me how this language just flows out of me now, because that's not how it was. And, you know, friends have shared how they know people who've maybe lived here for 5, 10, 15 years and they don't speak as well as me. And that's not because they're not able, but it comes down again to our commitment and our decision. And I had decided long ago that I really wanted to learn Spanish and to be able to connect with different communities and really have a conversation, because when we're learning anything, and especially when it comes to a language, as I got a bit better along the way, the first thing that comes is understanding. And you understand so much more, but yet I could not speak back. I couldn't really engage. I had random words. It would take me so long to form a sentence. I would really have to sit there and think. And way back, I was actually afraid to speak because I knew my language wasn't perfect. I knew I was going to make mistakes. So language really comes to a confidence thing as well. And I was afraid to mess up. So I made this decision anyway. And I decided as well when I was coming to Mexico, I wasn't coming to Mexico to live and speak English the whole time or find other foreigners that I could speak English with. I wanted to integrate. And yeah, like I was saying, I don't know when this level has changed, and it's just there and it flows, and I don't have to stop and think so much. I can have a conversation like I have in English, reply, and really go into depths of conversations as well that I was not able to for years and years and years. So like I say, lots of friends have commented on my Spanish, and again, this idea of persistence, because it's not that I just arrived at this level. It's not that it was easy and it happened for me really quickly. It's not that there were times when I just was too lazy or was too much of an effort and I just wanted to speak English. They are all true. They all happened. But yet I kept persisting and persisting, breaking down my own barriers, moving outside my own comfort zone of worrying about whether I was going to make a mistake or not. Just speaking anyway, even though I was making mistakes, even though I was saying things back to front, but doing it anyway to learn in the process. And having the persistence and the perseverance and the dedication to keep practicing anyway, to keep trying anyway, to keep speaking anyway, even though like that, it took a lot of work for a long time. And there was a period of time where I didn't speak Spanish at all, a good 10 years or more. And it wasn't until 2017 when I quit my job and went traveling South America that I started speaking it again. And at first, of course, it was difficult. I was stumbling over my words, but it really helped. And then the last 3 years here as well, obviously have really helped. And, I think sometimes when we're at a level, no matter what it is, whether it's, my example I'm just using today of speaking Spanish, or whether it's a level within our career, or someone we look to online who has a super successful business or is doing really well, or like the Oprahs of the world, sometimes when we look at people like that, we just think, oh, it was easier for them. They're different and it was easier for them. And that's never the truth. The truth is that those people have persisted. They've been consistent. They've kept moving through their own fears. They kept picking themselves up no matter the knockbacks. They kept moving forward anyway. They kept trusting and knowing that what they truly wanted and desired was going to happen. And that's what carries people through. And that's what gets people to this new norm that people can look at. And it seems so easy for them, but it may appear easy for them now because of all the persistence and dedication they've put in. And that's what it requires to make change. And especially speaking a language as well, like it's really difficult at times, especially if I was tired or if I was hungover. I really did not have the head or the mind to try speak in another language. Whereas now it's got to this level. It doesn't matter if I'm tired. It doesn't matter if I'm not in the mood or if I'm hungover. It still flows easily because of the base level that I have worked at that is there. And unlike before, these amount of pauses or time I would have to take to string my sentence together, or it first started with just words, but me speaking in my Irish accent, speaking Spanish. And as the words and the fluidity came, then I could focus more on my pronunciation as well. And it's something that I consistently still work on. It's not that I am so fluent and I know it all. I'm consistently still learning every single day. But there's a joy to it now. There's an ease to it now. Like that, it doesn't matter the circumstances or especially the tiredness. I don't feel the effort of it anymore because there's such a level there. And, that's the same for all of us when it comes to creating change. It does seem tiring, it's messy, it's awkward, we want to give up, we want to just take the easy path, we want to stop, we want to just do what we used to do or what was familiar. Fine, feel those feelings, but then keep going anyway. Pick yourself up again and go again, because that's what creates the true lasting change. It is the persistence, because nothing truly happens overnight. We can have monumental shifts overnight, but that usually happens because we've been taking micro steps all along the way. And these micro steps, those small bits of consistently, something every day, it accumulates and it compounds and it creates exponential change, as opposed to here and there and random. So it's that dedication, the consistency that gets us to what we truly want. And it's the patience with ourselves as well. And it's the honouring of what we're feeling and the frustration, the annoyance, or whatever we may experience along the journey as well. It's all okay. But if we just keep going, we do get there. It is possible. And, just lately again, this has been shown to me. And even when I stop and reflect on my Spanish, it really blows my mind, because I would never have thought that I would be fluent in another language. Never. It just wasn't something on my mind. But then I followed different paths that were coming up for me. I really enjoyed the language. I really wanted to integrate in the culture. I loved everything about it. And I really dedicated myself and persisted. And I persisted through my own discomfort. I persisted in my own sense of embarrassment whenever I spoke wrong. I persisted in moving out of my comfort zone. I persisted in trying again. I persisted in being consistent. And I persisted in moving through my own fears, my own blocks, my own thoughts that were maybe telling me that I was doing this wrong, that I couldn't speak it, that I was making mistakes, that I wasn't good enough. I persisted through it all. And like that, most of the work is me with me all the time. It's you with you all the time, moving through our own limitations, moving through our own frustrations, moving through our own doubts, and picking ourselves up anyway and keeping going. And that's what gets us there. That's what gets us over the finish line. Not that we're ever done, but it gets us to a new level where it just feels more normal, and it feels that little bit easier, and it feels like you've really accomplished and have settled into something that at first appeared really difficult and was really difficult and challenging for a long time. But it does shift. Things do change, and it becomes a new normal. And just like learning a language or learning to walk or learning to drive, it's the persistence, the determination, the practice, the willingness to be resilient, to go again. That's what creates new, empowering habits and lasting change. Without the persistence, I don't believe that our dreams would just land in our lap. That's not the way it happens. The universe is not going to do anything for us. The universe is co-creative. It will absolutely guide us, lead us, support us, but we need to be the ones taking the action in order for it to happen. And it comes to persistence in every aspect of life. Even persistence in your own evolution, your own curiosities, your own questioning, your own self-reflective practice, your own inner journey. It all requires persistence, but with the persistence, things do pay off and it gets easier. And when you experience that, that gives you the momentum to keep going. So that phrase of always learning, there's always room for expansion. The level we hit in any aspect of our life is not the finish line. There's always new places to expand, and I mean that within ourselves, but the journey doesn't stop. And as Tony Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying. Growth is a part of life. And when we move into a more growth mindset and we're willing to grow and evolve, we don't stay stagnant. We don't experience as much stuckness because We're moving, we're flowing. It's this idea of things are always changing. This too shall pass. Nothing stays uncomfortable for life unless we choose to stay stagnant and to give up. So with persistence, we can carry ourselves through anything and create and manifest and achieve anything as well. So if this lands with you, let me know, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye. Thanks for listening. And before you go, I would love to ask you a massive favor. If you enjoyed this episode or any episode of the podcast, I would love for you to leave a short review on Apple Podcasts to help it grow. If you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it.